All right, how do you find morphological information, that is, the things you're learning about a word in Greek or Hebrew, whether it's a verb and what kind of verb it is, what tense it is, not in the English translation, but in its original language, grammar. What do you do? How do you figure that out? Well, in Logos, it's pretty simple. That information is a part of your interlinear pane here. Remember a long time ago, and you might not have changed it since then, I showed you how you can select different things that you want to be visible on your interlinear pane. You might not want to see, for instance, the manuscript version of the word as it appeared, because maybe you can't make out those Greek letters, although now you should start to be able to in hermeneutics. I tend to not have any of transliterations when I'm looking at it because I don't really need them to read the Greek or the Hebrew. It just kind of clogs up my screen. But you probably had it selected just to show your lemma transliterated. That's the most basic form of the word so that you could read it in English, and hopefully your Strong's number so you could easily hover over it or click it. But there's other things there, and one of the things that is there is morphology. So if you right-click on the very left side of your interlinear pane, or control-click on a Mac, and then select Morphology, it will have this morphological line here. Now what you see is just a bunch of letters, and that might not be very helpful for you until you memorize them, but you might not need to memorize them because you can just hover over them, and you will see that this word risen here, in my English translation, is the Greek word egero, and that's not its exact form it was written in, but that's the lemma. And it is a verb. It is in the aorist tense. It's passive. It's indicative. It's third person, and it's singular. And now, having been enlarged in your knowledge by Lanny, you know what those things mean. Now, if you want to go further than that, what you might be able to do is right-click on the word, whether in the interlinear pane or up above, and press this, click this little link that says Show More Information. This is going to open your information panel here, which is also something you can access in your tools over here. And what this does is anytime you click on a word, it's going to tell you information about it. I tend to not like this open all the time, and that's why I've never directed you to do so, because again, it takes up a lot of my screen here. And you can, in your settings, tell it to follow you around whenever you hover over it or click on it, I believe. And hovering over things is just too much. It's always changing and loading. But if you click on a word, you can find out information. It's going to pull your top-rated definition, your top prioritized lexicon for the definition. It's going to give you various things. And down here is going to be, one of the things under word info, is going to be all the things you see from your right-click menu or down here, including the morphology, and this time it will spell it out directly. And depending, and I really don't know if you have this, I don't think you do, but you could buy another resource called, right here, the Glossary of Morphosyntactic Database Terminology. Sounds like a thrilling read, I know. And that way, when you hover over any of these things here, it'll tell you what it's about. You know, it'll say, oh, this verb, what's the aorist tense mean? The aorist verb tense is used by the writer to present the action of a verb as a snapshot event. It doesn't necessarily mean past tense. It means something that has been completed, or is just is what it is without an ongoing process or whatever. You know, you're going to read what these scholars say about it. So I would, if you don't have that, and if you want that, you shouldn't need it because Lanny has equipped you with definitions in the lecture and probably in handouts and such. But if you do want to buy that, I don't know how much it costs. It's probably not much because it looks like it's made by Logos, and they give their stuff pretty cheap. But just go onto logos.com, sign into your account, and search for that book and buy it. So there you have it. Now, things might be a little bit different. I'm going to close out my information window. Things might be a little bit different on the web app. So if I'm in the web app, and some of you tend to use the web app, or the app on your web-based computer is basically the web app because you don't have it downloaded onto a hard drive, as you know, some things are a little bit different. One of the very frustrating things, and this may change, it could be tomorrow, and this sort of thing has happened, where the web app now is completely the same as how the software works. I wish it were already that way. But what you know is that there is no interlinear pane. All you have is inline interlinear stuff here, right? Like in your software, you can choose whether you want the inline interlinear and what you want it to say, which you might want to see each English line and all the information as you go. To me, that's pretty annoying. And so instead, you've chosen the reverse interlinear pane. But that option is not available here now in the web app. You can only do the inline version. And so, I mean, you can declog it. You could say, I want the surface text. That means the English. I want the lemma transliterated. I want the Strong's number and the morphology. But still, kind of cumbersome. But there is the morphology there. Now, you can't hover over it, though, and find out what it means. You just have to then learn what logos means by D and SM, for brother here. So what are you going to do? Well, you do have access to it. There it is. But let me show you something. Let's turn off this interlinear pane. And guess what? You can still use the information tab. It's still a tool over here, okay? So you could open it up probably through the right click. If not, if you can't find it there, I'm not going to look for it. Go to Tools and go to Information. That will open up an information window. It doesn't automatically pop up where it did in my one there, but you can make it one of these tabs here. And now I can click on the word, let's see, brother, and I can find out. Remember, don't go for the article. That's the there. If the word brother here actually has the behind it. But go to the word you're interested in, and what you see here now is the morphology, but you see it is a noun, nominative, singular, masculine. You can find a verb. Those are more interesting things morphologically. Partaker, a noun. Oh, that's actually a noun. Fellow partaker. Yeah, of course. Let's find a verb. Anyway, it doesn't really matter. You get the idea. To glow. That sounds like an infinitive. It's not. It's a participle, but it is a verb. Anyway, you get the point. I don't think any of that was important. You can find the morphological information under word information. You actually get the English telling you it's a verb, perfect, passive, participle, and there you have it. So that's how you find the morphological information. Godspeed.